Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Friday, March 6th, 2026. Larry Johnson joins us now. Larry, thank you for the double duty. We, of course, will be seeing you again at the end of the day with our colleagues Ray McGovern and John Kiriakou for the Intelligence Community Roundtable. But there were so many events in the past 24 hours that I wanted to prevail on your understanding and ability to explain the military significance of it. So before we get to the warheads that the Iranians have been delivering to Israel, is Hezbollah back attacking the IDF in Lebanon and northern Israel? I thought Hezbollah had been wiped out.
Yeah, that's what we were told. You know, those exploding cell phones supposedly took care of that threat. No, they're back. In fact, they were abiding by the ceasefire, but that's clearly been broken, violated by Israel. So now they are fighting now against the Israeli military. You know, they're not launching indiscriminate rockets into civilian areas. They are targeting Israeli military sites, and Israel. They never learn. They've tried repeatedly to invade southern Lebanon, take control of southern Lebanon, and have been beaten repeatedly over the years. And they've already suffered significant losses in their latest incursion. So, Hezbollah is now working. They are supporting the Iranian military effort. This is a full-blown war. This is not just an isolated incident.
Was President Trump being truthful when he claimed yesterday that Iran called and wants a deal?
No. Iran has made it clear they're not looking for a negotiated settlement out of this because the United States cannot be trusted. They've violated twice the integrity of the negotiating process. Last June, when the Israelis struck on June 13th, the Iranians were busy preparing for a meeting on Monday, June 16th, to discuss, going forward with negotiations to reassure the United States that, hey, we're not building a nuke. And instead, Israel hit. And initially, Trump was all over the place. Oh, I didn't know about it. And then, I knew everything. I knew all about it ahead of time. So that was then. And then this latest incident that started on February 28th, again, the negotiations were supposed to take place in Geneva on March 2nd. And the Iranians thought, hey, things went pretty well. We're making some progress. And then this was a pre-planned attack.
Here's the Iranian foreign minister on this very topic, number 16, Chris. After that was stated, Trump stopped saying they called for a deal and said, we'll accept nothing less than unconditional surrender, almost as if he wants to sound like Winston Churchill. I don't know what unconditional surrender would mean. You'd have to have boots on the ground for that.
Yeah, and the so-called what they're trying to do with boots on the ground right now is a proxy through the Kurds. And if the Kurds are stupid enough to get to trust the United States on this, they'll suffer the same fate that a whole legion of insurgents that we've ginned up and supported and that have wound up getting killed. Look at the Hmong tribesmen in Vietnam. They're a classic case of we use them as a proxy to try to attack the North Vietnamese, and they ended up suffering a lot as a people. So this is just sheer madness on Trump's part. He's in trouble. And the U.S. military effort, despite all the propaganda being spun out about, oh man, we're wiping them out, we got full control of the skies. The reality is the opposite. Iran has destroyed 5 radars. There are 2 types. One is the AN-TPY, and the other is the AN-FPS. Well, these radars cost between $500 million and $1 billion a piece. They are radars that are designed to detect the launches of missiles and to provide early information about warning, as well as they are integrated with the terrain high altitude area defense weapon, the THAAD, as well as the Patriot. Iran's destroyed 5 of those. They had the big ones were at the Jordanian air base, Muwafaq al-Salti, and then at Al Udeid Air Force Base in Qatar, and then at the naval, the headquarters of the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. So we are now blinded. The United States and Israel are now blinded. Before they could get, a 15 to 30 minute warning. No, we got incoming missiles. Now maybe a minute of a warning, maybe 2 minutes, but it's down. So Iran has accomplished that, and we're told, oh yeah, our missiles, we're knocking down 90% of everything that Iran's firing. Sorry, I call the male bovine excrement card on that one. It sounds like the same guys that were in Ukraine shooting down all the Russian missiles is now doing the same work for the U.S. Department of Defense.
We talked about boots on the ground a few minutes ago. The Iranian foreign minister was asked about it. I'm going to play the question and the answer. Just as interesting as his answer is the look of bewilderment on the face of the questioner. Chris, no, Pentagon understand that?
No, we underestimate it. I mean, these are Iranians. What are you talking about? These, they're almost subhuman. I mean, that's how we approach it. We forget that they fought a 9-year war, albeit 40 plus years ago, with Iraq. That was where we were backing Iraq. We provided Iraq with the precursors for chemical weapons that were used against the Iranians, and they lost at least 300,000 people, and it's more likely 500,000, but hundreds of thousands. Think about it this way, Judge. The Iranians in that one war, they lost more soldiers than we did in Korea, Vietnam, and all the other military adventures we've been involved with over the last 71 years. So Iran they know the reality of what they're looking at. We don't. We hardly ever suffer significant losses. We haven't suffered significant losses in any of our imperialist adventures over the last 70 years.
You and Colonel Larry Wilkerson were on our friend Danny Haifong's show recently, and the two of you made a fascinating observation, and that is that the Americans do not understand the nature of this war. The United States, because of Trump's patience and desire to boast to MAGA and Mrs. Adelson, wants a quick in and out. The Iranians are patient and are in it for the long run. So what are the military ramifications of impatience versus long war, attack versus defense of the homeland?
Well, we don't have the military base, the industrial base to sustain a war. We've deluded ourselves into that. We're finding that. So right now, as of over the last 6 days, Iran has destroyed 40% of the total number of THAADs, the air defense systems, in the U.S. inventory. We don't have that many. And when they're manufactured, you make maybe 1 or 2 maximum a year. So they've already knocked out some of our most sophisticated radar. The planes, we've been through this so many times, and it's like nobody learns a thing. You recall during the whole shock and awe of our invasion of Iraq in 2003, and man, we're just knocking out those Iraqis right and left. And then it turned out that despite George W. Bush's claim of mission accomplished, an insurgency started up that we finally pulled out our military force. Same in Afghanistan. I was listening to this buffoon, Pete Hegseth, and he was talking about, we've got full dominance. We control the skies. Really? You know what? Israel controls the skies over Gaza. How's that working out for them? 2.5 years, they have failed to defeat Hamas. We controlled the skies over Iraq. Insurgency went on. We couldn't do a thing about it. We controlled the skies over Afghanistan, 20 years and billions of dollars. And we had to fly out, retreat, because we couldn't defeat the Taliban. So, there's no learning on our part going on. And if we think we're going to continue to just drop these bombs and that the Iranians are going to throw up their hands and cry and surrender, we're going to be in for a bad surprise.
Aside from the destruction of those $500 million to $1 billion radar, the radar equipment that you talked about earlier, do we know how heavily or aggressively or successfully Iran is hitting U.S. bases in the Gulf?
Oh yeah, no, they've hit every single one and effectively stopped our operations at those bases. And again, here the Pentagon is lying about what's going on. They say that our air defense is so great that we're shooting down 90% of what Iran is launching. Yet, as I mentioned with respect to those radars, there's a video out of a drone that took out one of them. Now the drone is a much easier target to take down with air defense. So there was a clear failure on that part. What Iran is doing is they are effectively driving the United States out of the Persian Gulf, and while the West is trying to portray that Iran is attacking its neighbors, no, Iran's attacks are focused on U.S. military infrastructure and intelligence targets, such as the CIA offices. So they've been effective at that, and it is showing up with our reduced operations on the ground there. Now, this is the control of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran is the really most significant military development, because that means our fifth fleet headquarters for the Navy was in Bahrain. Oh, you can't get there. Our ships are no longer able to arrive there and be serviced, even though it's been largely destroyed.
Wow. How about hitting Israel? Yesterday, last night, American East Coast time, we were receiving reports that Israel was sustaining a serious barrage of missile and drone attacks. Now, I know that the Israeli censors are infamous and infamously successful in blocking the truth from coming out, but do you know from sources how heavily Israel is being damaged by the Iranian counterattack?
Well, I know from videos that have been and these are not AI videos that I've seen over the last 2 days. Now, if you listen to the Pentagon spokesman, they'll say, "Oh, wow, we have really decimated the Iranian missile capability. They're firing 80% fewer today." Well, maybe, but they forget that we saw the similar pattern during the 12-day war. What Iran does is it floods the zone up front with older missiles that are not their most modern, and as well as drones, and in part to saturate and deplete the air defense systems. And that appears to be what they've done effectively here, because they've launched I think it's Karamshir 4, this new missile, and it's a ballistic missile that detaches at about 3 miles above the target, out of the range of the Iron Dome and out of the range of the Patriot. It detaches and then releases clusters of munitions, of explosives, and there's no defense against that. So that is hitting and causing explosions across the city. I have spoken with our friend Stanislav Karpivnik. The Russians are able to see some things in social media that it's being blocked here in the West. They don't have to worry about Larry Ellison, a avowed Zionist, clamping down. And he said that Tel Aviv is getting the Gaza treatment. So there have been significant damage to installations and buildings across Tel Aviv. So this reduction right now is Iran taking its time, and are they running out of missiles? We've heard that refrain about Russia over 4 years. I suspect that Iran is in a much better position with missiles than we want to believe.